You're listening to the DC Comics Chronicles, where we cover every adventure from the streets of Gotham to the skies of Metropolis and into the depths of Atlantis. With your hosts, Adam and Chris.
Welcome to another episode of the DC Comics Chronicles. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me, my co-host, Chris. Chris, how's it going?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. We are now a few weeks into the new year, and as expected, after the holidays, things are picking up again in terms of news and information regarding the new DCU from DC Studios. And to that point, we even have our first actual project from James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Universe in the form of Creature Commandos. So we're going to talk about that series today. We purposely waited till the whole series dropped and was released before talking about it. And then in the second half of the show, after the break, we're going to talk about various news and developments about the upcoming Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow film. So that's what you have to look forward to in today's episode. So let's kick things off, Chris, with Creature Commandos. And we'll do it a little bit differently this time. We'll be talking about our positives and negatives. Do it whichever order you so choose to do it in. But I'll turn it over to you and give us some of your thoughts on Creature Commandos.
Well, I'm going to start with the negatives first because I'd rather end on a positive note with this one.
Sure.
I don't think there was anything to this series. I don't think that there was really a plot to it. It felt like it was just an exercise in world building, cameos, and origins, because like the present day plot is non-existent. It also is very complicated, and they explain it to you in a 30, I don't even think it's 30 seconds, a 30-second exposition dump.
You talk about the end in the finale.
Yeah, because we're going full spoilers, right? Yeah. So like right before the bride shoots Jennifer Holland, or they want to call it a princess, that's fine, but it's Jennifer Holland. Right before she does that, she just has this little rant, which kind of explains the whole plot of the show, and it's like a gotcha moment, but it happens so quickly and it's so convoluted that it doesn't register. I don't think it even matters, and it just kind of shows how thin the plot actually is. And every episode is so formula. It's just a formula, and it's not like it's a bad idea to introduce the characters one by one. We've seen that in a lot of different mediums. It's fine. But when you make the origin more important than the story at hand, there's a problem. And that's what every episode did. I didn't care for Frankenstein at all. I think he is by far my least favorite character, which is quite a shame because he was the one I was most excited for.
Sure.
I love David Harbour, and I'm a big Universal Monsters guy. I love Frankenstein. You put that in a comic book, I'm in.
Right.
This I couldn't stand. I thought he was terrible. I thought the bride ended up being... at the start of the show, I was all in for her. I thought she was great. But then as the show goes on, I was like, I don't like this. And it really hits with the finale. And I think in a finale, it can either make or break a show. And in this case, it broke the show for me. Okay. It was kind of like, there's an episode of How I Met Your Mother where they explain like a breaking moment and you hear glass break. And then you realize what you've just seen or dealt with. Yeah. The finale did that for like, hey, wait a minute.
Okay.
I thought the pacing of the show was weird because it is episodic. We had to cut it off at certain points, but the episodes are so short, nothing even gets done because of those origins again. In retrospect, I think that we didn't need to see Batman. We didn't need to see the heroes on pikes being impaled. Yeah, I got a lot of negatives, but I do have positives.
Unless it leads to, well, I'll get into that when I talk to my portion of it. But yeah, okay. So you want to continue? Whether you want to continue in the
Yeah, so like when it comes to the positives, there's stuff I really liked a lot actually. Like Weasel, I think Weasel's fantastic. I love the Weasel origin. I love what they do with him. I thought it was pretty incredible how they made this non-verbal creature so endearing. I like that a lot. I love GI Robot. I had no idea who GI Robot was before this, and give me all the GI Robot.
Yeah.
I like the animation a lot. I thought the animation looked great. I like the action. I like the music. I think that's kind of where I'm at with the likes. I like most of the voice cast.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, my positives are pretty quick.
Okay.
Because as the show went on, I liked less and less.
Okay.
But the stuff I really liked, I really liked.
Okay. All right. Fair. I'll start with my negatives because there's not that many. I did think that the length of the episodes hampered the modern day story a bit, just because the origin aspects were, it seemed anyway, at least from just my eye watching, it seemed like there was more time spent on the origin and backstory of the characters. So I think length. I wish the episode would have been even 5 or 10 minutes longer would have been enough. I think, in that aspect. So that was an issue. The length and pacing in terms of ratio of spending more time on the backstories and versus the present day stuff. So I'm of two minds on Frankenstein, in the fact that there were elements of him that I liked, but also elements that I didn't like. So one of the elements that the part that I didn't like was the fact that he became this obsessive, like stalker ex-boyfriend type of deal.
Yeah.
And that really isn't from the. Now, again, keep in mind that my reading of the DC Comics Frankenstein is limited. But that's not pretty much what I got from the little bit that I've read of DC's Frankenstein. Like, I never got that vibe from him at all. So it was a little bit different and a little bit weird to me to see him in that manner. And then those were really my two major gripes about the series. What I liked and what I think ultimately worked and was the strength of the series was the backstories and origins of each of the characters. And if you look at James Gunn's track record, he has an ability and a habit of making me actually give a shit about characters I had no clue who they were.
He's great at that.
Yeah. Each of the characters that we're introduced to, society views them as a monster or a villain per se. But when you look at their backstories, they were so tragic. These were mostly, with the exception of Weasel because he's not a person, but these were and GI Robot. But these were mostly good intentioned people before tragedy struck them. You know what I mean? like if you look at Dr. Phosphorus, right? His family was killed. Rupert Thorne.
I think he's the only good intentional because the Bride was built.
Well, the Bride was a creation,
and so was Frankenstein.
Right, but Frankenstein I don't count as one of the.
Yeah, I don't even know why he's there. But
he's there to harass the Bride, I guess, or go after the Bride. But like Nina Mazursky, she was.
Yeah, hers is sad.
She's another one, another tragic.
Yeah, her and Phosphorus are both.
And Phosphorus, sad. And I think even though he's not a person.
Though I don't know if Weasel was ever a person, though. I think maybe that's the thing with Weasel. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think from everything that I understand, he wasn't. But what I'm saying is, he was missing.
Oh no, I know what you mean. I was just wondering, was Weasel a person at some point?
As far as I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I said it wrong, but like each of the characters were thought of as monsters, criminals, but really, they were well-meaning, well-intentioned before tragedy struck them. And I thought, the strongest 3 episodes for me were Weasel, the Weasel origin episode, Dr. Phosphorus, and Nina Mazursky. Those are the 3 best episodes.
Oh, the finale, you mean?
No, yeah, the portion of the focus.
Oh, her origin, okay.
On Nina's backstory, yeah. And like I said, for me, it was like, especially Weasel, with the rap that he had of he killed, I don't know how many kids, supposedly it was.
It was 8 or 9.
Yeah, 8 or 9. When in reality, he was trying to rescue them from the fire that had broken out. And it was actually the soldiers chasing after Weasel that caused, that really also contributed to the death of some of those kids.
Yeah, the little girl could have been saved.
Yeah. So he was trying to rescue at the very least one of them from that he could from the fire, and it just didn't happen.
The little girl was the one that would have lived.
And it also carries over into that part of it carries over into present day. If you look at the sort of bond that he forms with the princess, right? Because she gives him the time of day as she pleases him. And so I like the way that they sort of paralleled that. That was a cool little parallel between the past and the present day. Ultimately, for poor Weasel, it sucks because the people that befriended him and cared about him both died. In the course of the series, so that was heartbreaking. And so, yeah, like again, I got if for James Gunn to make me emotional about A, a character that's not human, and B, a character that I had no idea existed before the Suicide Squad. Really, because that's where we first saw Weasel, is pretty impressive. With Dr. Phosphorus, again, here's a guy that was working on cures for what was it? I think was he trying to cure a form of cancer? I think it was.
I forgot what he was doing some kind of good scientific work.
And then Rupert Thorne and the mob bosses kind of wanted his research, and he didn't want to give it up, and they had his family killed, and him. He kind of had I would liken his origin to Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen. It was very
similar. Even them putting him in the machine.
Which could be maybe Dr. Manhattan was an allegory for a character like Phosphorus, because remember Alan Moore took mainstream DC characters and then tweaked them to make him his own.
Yeah.
For the sake of that story, so that the parallel could be more than just a coincidence in that sense. I did also like you said, the animation was really well. It was clean. It was each character and their backstory, their backgrounds, the places that they were from, the areas they inhabited. They were all distinct and unique, but they were clean. They were, it kind of felt like a merging of classic animation with more modern stuff. Whereas, and it was visually appealing as opposed to maybe this is just me, and you can sort of chime in with the newer direct to DC videos, like the new universe, the Tomorrowverse or whatever. The animation was a little bit off for me. The style.
Yeah, I would say this looks better than those because those had like a very specific look, and I don't want to say they were choppy, but something about them like they weren't fluid.
It felt
at some points.
It felt choppy, even though they weren't. If that makes
sense. I think that's the look they wanted. I don't know because I was thinking more like when you talk about like animation styles. Have you seen that new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle animated series on Paramount?
Yeah, the one that's continuing from the movie.
Right, the one that's so. I don't really like the way that looks, but I appreciate what they're going for. And to me, that's kind of like a modern style, whereas this, like you said, is a nice blend.
Although, side note, and this has nothing to do with Creature Commandos, but you mentioned Turtles, so I'll side note it. I kind of like that iteration of the Turtles better in 2D than I do 3D or whatever the movie was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh, we're going to circle back to that later because I'm curious. I want to talk about that.
I don't understand why. Maybe we'll do an episode on it. Maybe that'll be an episode of the Turtles podcast. We can delve into that more. Because I haven't done a Turtles episode in a while, so maybe that'll be something we do. But yeah, I really like the animation here. And again, you're right. The princess does look a lot like Jennifer Holland. Not that that's a bad thing, because Jennifer Holland is a beautiful woman, and she's married to the boss, so I will respectfully not click my pen.
I mean, you could. It's okay.
Well, all right. I'm gonna, in another universe, James, you get the boss, I'm the boss, and she's on the list. No, I'm kidding. He can still be the boss in both universes. But so I did like the animation a lot. Even the bride's origin, like that is, and this is the most cliched word I could use and obvious, but it was really horrific. Like it was like, I can understand why she's as messed up as she is, because she's a mishmash of different corpses to start. So that's one thing. Two, her initial reason for being is to be essentially property of Frankenstein, right?
Mm-hmm. That's always been a weird thing about Bride to me.
And then she, Dr. Frankenstein develops feelings for her, and they engage in a relationship and relations. And then the monster, Frankenstein's monster, gets pissed off and kills him because of that, and is on some sort of revenge quest or chase or stalking quest after her. So it really is like, no wonder she's as messed up as she is, to put it politely. But I really, what I did love about that's, I think it was the second episode.
I believe so.
What was like, especially that's where the animation really kind of shined and stood up, because it felt like an old school, one of those old school Universal horror movies. Those, the origin aspects of her. So I really dug that, and I did the montage that they did of.
Frankenstein? Yeah, through the years?
Through the years. I really liked that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
So I dug that. Now you mentioned the cameos earlier. While they weren't necessary at all to the main plot, I did see. When the formation of this, when the creation of this series, as James Gunn was explaining it, and he was talking about it's an appetizer and sort of world building. Like I took him at his word for that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly what he gave us: world building and an appetizer.
Yeah.
So even though they weren't necessary for the main story, I appreciated seeing them. No, it's not to say that what Cersei, like her visions.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that they can't come into play at some point later on. Like that
No.
could very well still come or be a driving force for the overall plot of the DCU, right?
My issue with them was just that I feel like there was not enough in the main plot, and it was just focused on the world. But that was my issue with it. I like the world building stuff. I just don't think that it was necessary because the plot wasn't there to support it. That's all.
So I didn't like seeing them. And again, I'm not ruling out the possibility that those kind of visions and Cersei's, scenario could come back as a future, larger DCU plot point.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did like some of the Themyscira, backstory and Cersei kind of backstory that we got. And I like getting that sense of Themyscira, and that in this world people are aware of Themyscira. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the sons of Themyscira being, the stereotypical inner soul that thinks everything's woke and blah blah blah. Like I like that because that's the world we live in, and there are more of those idiots that I'd like to that I wish there were, but they exist, and like people like that exist. For me, in terms of most tragic sort of episode and backstory, it's a toss up between GI Robot and Nina Mazursky, because with GI Robot, again, like you said, that's a character I had no clue even existed. Like, period.
I had no idea.
And at his base core, his sole motivation is I want to kill Nazis. And who's going to argue with that motivation?
I need a GI Robot McFarlane figure. I need to know where in production they are. I need one.
You've taken up the role of Donnie in terms of demanding a McFarlane figure.
Donnie and I need to get together and write some letters because we need what we need.
Yeah, hashtag stuff and all the good stuff. But and like even. I think his story, both in present, well, it was more backstory, but his goes for the back. There's like two backstories for him: the World War backstory, and then the more present but not quite present day stuff.
His was cool because it spans so long.
Yeah, and he seems most at home during World War II. Like that was when
Nazis to kill.
And he felt, even though he's a robot, he felt more part of the group, part of the family with the other soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whereas once we get into more present day, it's like you like the fact that he's a robot, I think, shines more in the sense that he doesn't really fit in.
Yeah.
Right. And the only reason he works in this group is when Rick Flag Sr. says, okay, these guys are Nazis, kill them, even though they weren't Nazis, and he was just using that motivation to kind of to kind of get G.I. Robot to do his thing, which looked awesome, by the way, when he
I wouldn't mind if G.I. Robot makes the jump.
Honestly, I think I kind of want him in the proposed Sergeant Rock film now. Like, I need G.I. Robot in there.
I'm real mixed on that.
Because I don't know, and again, a trailer could change my mind, all kinds of things could change my mind. But I don't know if just a plain old Sergeant Rock movie is going to be enough. Like, I'll go watch it, obviously, because the supposed filmmaker and Daniel Craig are top notch. But I think for me, G.I. Robot, after seeing this, would be an extra hook. It's excitement wise for me.
Yeah, see, I'm of two minds of it. First, they pretty much said it's gonna be rated R.
Which you could do with G.I. Robot. I mean,
you can, but I just think that's a weird way to go. That's gonna be the second rated R DCU film. Also, I'm with you. Sergeant Rock probably needs G.I. Robot for a sell.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the director that they're getting is a wonderful director. I don't really see him using a talking robot in that movie. But we'll see. I'm going to keep an open mind because I want to like it.
No, again, though we've never seen, and I can't pronounce his name, that's why I haven't said his
Luca
name.
Guadagnino.
We've never seen him have to tackle a subject matter that could entertain a robot. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we just don't know.
So far, the stuff that he's done hasn't lent itself to that. That's not to say that he doesn't want to use G.I. Robot or that he can't make it work. Whereas, like, for example, with James Mangold, he's kind of come out and said that he wants his Swamp Thing film to be its own separate gothic horror movie, and that's what he wants. That's what he envisions, right? So he has a very clear, specific viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the director's viewpoint for Sergeant Rock is because technically he hasn't even been this hasn't been officially confirmed yet. You know what I mean?
I thought James Gunn said something. Did he not?
I don't think James Gunn confirmed anything. Like, the Variety said that they were in talks.
Oh, okay. I thought James Gunn confirmed Luca's doing it, but yeah, I think that one is a real wait and see because you have a talented guy, you have a talented actor, so.
And again, like, that's something where, like, if they sell it as a $40 million war film without the bells and whistles of a Nazi killing robot and overt mentions of the DC universe, it could work. You know, as that. I don't think it's going to be a gangbusters box office bonanza.
No.
And that's not to say that with G.I. Robot it would be either, but
I have a lot of opinions.
Yeah. So that is a wait and see. Yeah, again, either way, I'm in the theater because, like I said, the two people that are supposedly involved in terms of on the creative front are enticing enough. Plus, it's a DC property, and the only DC property that I've actively said I will probably just sit out is the Metal Man because I just don't like the concept.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's never appealed to me. And look, and that says a lot about the uniqueness and interesting aspect of G.I. Robot because it's in that vein of, Metal Man type of scenario. But yet I love him as a character and I want to see more of him. So that just shows you the good job that James Gunn and crew did with that character. And I'm going to talk about the mini Batman cameo in a second. But at first I want to deal with Nina Mazursky's origin episode. To have for a character to be born with an ailment, a life-threatening ailment, and then have one of their parents not want them is, of all the fantastical stuff that we saw in the series, that's what could possibly make this more heartbreaking in terms of an origin, is because whether you like it or not, that's a scenario that you could envision and probably has played out in the real world. And so that's why I might vote that as the most tragic of the backstories. And look, she had nothing to do for in most of the series, but that was baked into the character to the point where she even says, I think from somewhere in the first episode, that she doesn't want to do this.
I don't remember, but yeah, it said somewhere. She's just there for the ride.
She said it, or somebody said it. And then when you see her backstory and the fact that she was literally alone outside of her father, you know, she went off on her own, and like nobody wanted anything to do with her. So when you go back to the present day and you see her forming a bond with the bride and G.I. Robot, and to an extent Weasel, you see, I think her death becomes more tragic after you see her finally starting to bond with these people.
To kind of find a second family.
Yeah, and then I think it also her death also sort of, because I don't think the bride thought she was going to die when she sent her in to go in the water, like the surprise attack. And the other thing I think that did was, because even if you look at the course of the bride from moment one to the finale, even she wanted nothing, like in terms of getting closer to her teammates or anything like that. Like she wanted nothing to do with that. It was constantly being around Nina that sort of opened her up to the possibility of that as we went along.
Softened her a bit.
Yeah. So to see her lose Nina as well, I think so. Nina's ultimate death served two purposes, like or her story of kind of just being there, but not like throughout the whole season. You're up until that point, you're like, what is her role here? Like she's just walking around
complaining
and counseling people. Like what's going on? But then you see it play out. You're like, oh, okay, I get it now, right?
Nina is kind of like the Agent Coulson.
Yes, that's actually a very good, a good way of putting it. So I kind of, even though at first I thought she's got nothing to do, then I really warmed to her, and then I didn't expect her to die. I'll be honest with you. The one character I expected to die in this series was Weasel.
Really?
And they kind of set it up in the sense that there was the moment where he was looking. Remember when he had that moment where he was playing with the wolves?
Yeah.
And then they're sleeping, and he stops, and he's watching them sleep, and he's looking back at the castle because he knows, like he's torn whether he wants to stay or go.
Right.
And at that moment, I'm like, okay, they're making me feel too much for Weasel, and they're going to kill him, the little bastard.
I didn't think he was going to die. I actually thought, I didn't think any of them were going to die, really. But I didn't think it'd be Weasel if one of them was going to.
Weasel. And so they surprised me with Nina being the one to die. Now I got to talk about the Batman cameo, because it was literally the 2-3 seconds maybe.
I don't even think it's a full 10 seconds. I want to say it's like 5 seconds.
Or no more than 5.
It's enough for a lightning strike and it's over.
What's an entrance though? Like, first of all, I gotta say, if the DCU Gotham City looks anything like this, with the gargoyles on top and like, sign me up for that because it looked really good.
You know, it was cool because I guess that's one of my positives too. Gotham looked the way Gotham. You imagine Gotham. It looks like a regular city, but with like a gothic tone to it.
Yeah, heightened, exaggerated a little bit. So I like the look of Gotham. It doesn't just look like Pittsburgh or Chicago, which is nice. And again, I think it was a really cool homage to both Batman the Animated Series and the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
With the lightning strike and Batman, standing there on the, outside the roof of the glass, the glass ceiling window there. That was a really cool. And I'm like, okay. It was at that moment where I was like, yeah, I need more DCU Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it took us 5 seconds.
It's all anybody talked about.
Yeah, and that just shows you how much people want Batman in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Those people that say, "Oh no, just let the Reeves verse be enough." No, and the reaction of people online is indicative that people want Batman in this universe.
People love Batman, and I think that when you introduce him in a world where we haven't really seen him play before, because we saw him in the Snyderverse, but we didn't see him on his own, and technically we only saw him twice in the Snyder stuff.
Right.
People might like to see him actually live in his real world, which includes people like Phosphorus.
This Gotham, like, show me like his cast of characters,
his full rogues gallery. Let's see it.
All we literally got the last time was Batman and Alfred. Let's call it what it is.
Well, you got the Joker too.
But again, they never interacted.
Oh yeah. If you want to, it's just Alfred.
You could tell me that there's Zack Snyder's Justice League, and here's the problem. Not necessarily with that movie, although that particular performance was not my cup of tea, where the Joker's concerned. But the fact that I know behind the scenes that those two never interact, look, it looks like they're on screen together.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, because I followed the production of that thing, I know that the two never interacted.
Even on Suicide Squad, they didn't get to interact. And Affleck was on set.
Yeah, and so me knowing that takes away from it.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
It pulls me out. So I want to see Batman interact in his world in a shared universe setting. And judging by the reaction of people after that episode, it's not going to bother them that characters like Frankenstein and Dr. Phosphorus and Cersei also exist in this universe.
I don't think it'd be as in your face as people think either. Like, I've made this joke on my own on our DC Unlimited. It's not like General Zod's going to fly past the Penguin's window. That's not what we're getting at.
Exactly.
It's just they're going to exist together. That's it.
I digress. The last thing Penguin needs to worry about is Zod.
He should worry about his ma.
See a psychiatrist about your Oedipus complex, and we'll take it from there. Maybe that's the thought point of season 2. Who knows?
Harley is his psychiatrist.
Listen, depending who they cast to play Harley in the Reeves verse, I may be on board with that. But yeah, so clearly people want Batman in the shared universe, despite the moaning and consternation of a select few. And like I said, I like the back to the Dark Knight Returns of Batman the Animated Series, and the fact that people in that brief few seconds, like the reaction of the people around the scenario, like they were scared shitless. which I think was pretty cool.
Phosphorus stops in his tracks.
Yeah. Now, what we can do is, according to James Gunn, is take specifics in terms of look how big he is. That precludes, a potential Pattinson merger. Because look how big the animation is. It's animation. And it's a shadow.
This is a weird one because people and fans, and we all do it, everybody jumped to some really big conclusions based on this silhouette. Yeah. And then if you compare this silhouette with the one that was impaled, they don't look the same even. Right. So there's no clear picture of what DCU Batman's going to look like yet, guys.
Let's just wait to see how
right.
the situation shakes out. I'm not saying Pattinson should be the DCU Batman, but I'm also not saying he won't be, because I don't know. Last year, Matt Reeves sounded pretty definitive that it was a no. At the Golden Globes, it suddenly turned into a maybe.
We'll see. We'll just see how it goes.
I don't know, a little bit of it. And in an interview with Josh Horowitz, James Gunn danced around the question. So I'm not willing to rule it out one way or the other. We'll know when we know, and I think that's probably going to be around Clayface. So we'll see. So it seems like I like Creature Commandos a little bit more than you. Maybe quite a bit more than you.
I would say a lot more, because for me the negatives have really started out with the positives. Like, I don't even care that Nina died. Okay. I think her origin came way too late, and I think that in the episodes, every episode she does nothing. She just kind of follows the bride and interjects here or there. So her death, it really didn't mean anything. I was more concerned with Weasel, to be honest. Yeah. And I do, like I said, I like the world building, but there was nothing to support it. It felt like we were there just for the world building, and that's what I also didn't like. But I think there are enough positives for it, but it's not something I'll go back and rewatch at all.
And look, regardless of what Chris or my opinions are, clearly it's done well because it got renewed for season 2. 2 episodes before the finale, and according to a recent statistic that I saw, demand has only continued to increase for it in the way they track these things.
It's doing good numbers.
So that's that's good. So that's a success for DC Studios, and so for me it was like the pitch for this series was essentially an appetizer and a world building exercise, and that's pretty much what I got. So overall, I was happy with it, and I've got cool new characters that I think some would be really cool if it made the jump. Like G.I. Robot, I think there's a place for him in the universe in live action. I think that my hope is that they can evolve the Frankenstein monster character over the course of the future, in terms of whether it be in season 2 or in another project somewhere, that they evolve the character and bring him more in line with the little bit of the character that I've read in the comics. But we'll have to wait and see on that front.
I would say that you don't cast David Harbour for a single animated appearance. So I think if any of these characters, he's the one they probably have the biggest plan for.
I think the Bride as well, because there's 3 characters that they went out of their way, so Cersei, they cast somebody that's relatively from The Witcher. What's her name?
Oh yeah, I always forget that it's her. I think that she could pull that off live action also, which is cool.
And Frankenstein are the three that I think
Mm.
have the most logistical chance.
I think Cersei is guaranteed though.
Given that Wonder Woman, put the mascara in Paradise.
Yeah, she's guaranteed.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes, and it's going to be, given the fact that animation takes a crap ton of time. Season 2 will probably be out in a year or two, is my guess.
I guess next year.
Around that thing. So I guess we can go ahead and give it a letter grade, and then we'll take a break and we'll talk about the Supergirl stuff. But go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I think I would give this like a C. Just because there are some things I like, but most of it I didn't. And like I said, I won't be rewatching this. And if this, I need to see James Gunn do something different. I really need to see him do something different.
They're going to be a lot different than just by the trailer alone.
Oh yeah, Superman's going to give me what I want, but I'm just saying, like, we're getting Peacemaker. That's his thing. Superman has to be different. I'm sure it will be. But even going forward after Superman, I need different stuff from James Gunn. So this gets a C for me.
Yeah, like I said, I had very little problem with this. So I'm probably going to go with an A-, just because, like I said, I ended up liking a lot of characters that I had no clue existed. And the fact, again, when you can make me somebody who hates a concept like the Metal Men, and also, again, I had no idea. Well, I of course I knew who Weasel was from the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But I didn't, even during the Suicide Squad, I didn't care about Weasel really. Like, I had no emotional connection to Weasel.
Isn't it only I think it's in less than 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, but I mean.
I just mean, like, we don't even get a chance to know him, so like it's hard to even count the Suicide Squad.
I mean, he was there, but not really. So the fact that James Gunn could make me care about characters like Weasel and G.I. Robot is a win. So yeah, and I like most of what I saw. So there it is. With that, the first project from the DCU is in the books, and we will go on to talking about what will either be the third or fourth project from the DC universe, depending on the release date of how Lanterns shakes out. But on the other side of the break, we'll be talking about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What's up, everyone? It's the Emerald Enthusiast. For all of your multiverse viewing and listening needs, check out our shows, which include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, Power Rangers, the Marvel Universe, and the DC Universe, including the Emerald Echo podcast. You can check us out on Podbean, and remember to subscribe right here on YouTube. That's the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network. From the first podcast to the last.
And we're back. And as promised, since we've been back from the holiday period, there is quite a bit of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow news. First and foremost, the fact that it is indeed filming as we record in the UK. I believe Warner Brothers Leavesden Studios. First bit of news is the worst kept secret in Hollywood. I don't even think it was a secret at this point. But Jason Momoa is returning to the world of DC, not as Aquaman, but in a role that he was probably born to play. That is the intergalactic bounty hunter known as Lobo. again, it's the most obvious casting I've ever seen. It fits. If you would have asked me years ago and give me a choice, who do you think Jason Momoa is going to play, Aquaman or Lobo? I would have chosen Lobo every single time. This is a dream role of his. If you listen to Jason Momoa talk, one of the few comic book series he collected back in the day was Lobo. So all in all, I'm super down with this casting. I think that there is a lot of overdone, unnecessary hand wringing over this, if that's the correct way of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, we're going to confuse the audience because it's Jason Momoa and he played Aquaman.
I haven't seen that.
And my retort to that is two things, and here's the main thing. One, Chris Evans, the actor, not my co-host, played both the Human Torch and the Captain America. And not one audience member said, I'm confused, help me. So really, I don't think this is going to be a problem in that sense.
I would also add to that, when he's playing Aquaman, he's just, there's no makeup on him, he's just himself. Yeah. When he's going to be Lobo, hypothetically, he will likely be fully in makeup. Yeah. I imagine they are going to go with the white skin, the black diamond eyes and everything.
Yeah, especially with like in terms of look, given what we've seen from James Gunn with a character like Peacemaker with Superman, he's going to go as comic accurate as.
Yeah, I think that's probably a mandate with James Gunn.
Yeah, so I'm not concerned about, oh my God, he's going to look. I mean,
no, I just mean to add to it. I think that'll help people be like. There should be no confusion here.
And again, it's a very, like I said, it's the casting choice everybody expected.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a matter of, to me, it was just a matter of time before this got announced and what project it would be. So what are your thoughts on it? Anything else?
Yeah, this was the worst kept secret. I don't know if you remember, but I want to say it was like a couple of weeks after James Gunn took over, Momoa had posted that video of him at Warner Brothers. Yeah, exactly. And he was excited about something. We all knew they just gave him Lobo.
Yeah.
We all knew it. I like Jason Momoa. I think he's fun for the most part. I think we've already seen his Lobo in Aquaman. He's the same guy. It doesn't move the needle for me, but it's not like, oh, I hate it. No, it's fine. I'm looking forward to seeing him as Lobo. I think because it's a passion project, that gets me really on board with him. I love his enthusiasm for it. Even that post he made at the bonfire with his cigar, that was cool.
He's already Lobo. Like
he is already Lobo. That's the thing. So I'm looking. It may not move the needle for me, but I'm looking forward to it.
Jason Momoa in real life is essentially Lobo.
I think he even rides a motorcycle. So yeah.
Without the intergalactic bounty hunter part, he's basically Lobo, right?
And I think he's gonna look really cool in the costume and whatnot.
Yes, yeah. And again, I don't think you get Jason Momoa just for a one-off situation.
No, it was reported he might have a solo thing too.
Which is when they say might, let's be honest. Unless every project in the DCU makes 5 cents at the box office, chances are he's going to get that solo project.
I would kind of
other stuff.
I would kind of hope he gets a series. I don't know about a Lobo movie, but I think a series could be pretty fun.
I think it could be pretty fun, but again, there is that David Leitch, which is one of the directors of John Wick, I think. Yeah. He's posting about wanting to do something with Jason Momoa and Lobo. So if I'm James Gunn, I listen to that pitch and and go from there.
But it's funny because I think normally, and you and I agree on this, when an actor campaigns or director campaigns for something, they don't get it. In James Gunn DCU, that doesn't seem to be the case. So,
but I think I agree with that. But I also think the people involved have to fit the material they're campaigning.
Oh well, yeah. Not everybody, like not every Joe.
When I see David Leitch campaigning for a Lobo film or project, when I look at David Leitch's work, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see that fitting.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's really not.
You wouldn't want to see, and this is as far out of left field as I could put it. But if I saw, Martin Scorsese wanting to make a Lobo project, I'd be like, you don't fit that material, sir. Basically, it's like Martin Campbell when he directed Green Lantern. Like two things couldn't be polar opposites if you tried.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of Scorsese doing a Lobo movie now.
Take it to the most ridiculous place I could, but so yeah, I definitely think we're going to see more of Momoa, and all beyond this. But also, it's worth noting that Tom King put out on social media that the initial plan for Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the book, was to also have Lobo in it.
Yeah.
So it's probably gonna go back to whatever his role was supposed to be in the original conception of the story is probably what it's going to be.
Well, I think in the original version of the story, he was in it a lot. Like he was there quite a bit. I think they're still going to minimize it though. I believe I saw someone suggest I don't remember it as well, but there's a point where you have a bounty hunter in that story who just kind of cuts through it. I'm assuming they're just going to make that bounty hunter Lobo.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to all of a sudden morph into like a Supergirl Lobo story.
Right, it's not a buddy movie.
Yeah. But
her buddy is Supergirl.
I think it's going to be more than, look, I showed up for 2 minutes and I'm gone.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit more than that. So, put it this way, it's more of a role than Robert Downey Jr. at the end of Incredible Hulk.
I'd say it's probably a decent size because they announced him.
Yeah, and why would you do that why would you put it in trade?
This is no cameo.
And again, the fact that they put it out in a trade and made a big deal about it suggests that there's going to be more Lobo beyond this.
My guess is he's going to have out as much screen time as like the Resistance did in Deadpool Wolverine. That's my guess.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah. The other bit of casting news that came down very recently is that Supergirl's Kryptonian parents have been cast for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Of course, if you've read the story, there's a part for them in that story. And so Zor-El will be played by David Krumholtz, who was most recently, I think, in Oppenheimer.
He was.
But for me, and for a lot of other people, he is the head elf from the Santa Claus.
Bernard,
yeah. Which of course was Tim Allen, the star of the Santa Claus in those films and the series. And then playing Alura is Emily Beecham. This one's interesting in the sense that she starred as Cruella's mother in David Gillespie's Cruella film with Emma Stone. So there's some familiarity there. And I think she did that Netflix series 1899, although I've never seen it, but she was in that as well. The casting of Bernard as Zor-El In my head canon, and this is purely my head canon, and I hope it doesn't stay that way, but for now it is. Suggests that we are one step closer from the DC Universe Christmas special, Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night, and I will hold on to that dream until James Gunn dashes those dreams. But I'm taking that as an omen, folks, and we're one step closer. And I think Anthony Caruso, our fellow compatriot, will echo my sentiments there. But what are your thoughts on the casting of this side of the L family?
Well, I'm not familiar with Emily Beecham, but that's fine. I think she'll be cool in the role. I'm not really worried about her.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how much they use the family. David Krumholtz, I'm very familiar with. I love David Krumholtz. Yeah. Now, you say you think of him as Santa Claus. I think of him from 10 Things I Hate About You, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
He is a delight in that movie. So that's where my mind goes, and I've always been a fan of his because he's in a lot of stuff, and he's always that side character. He's never really been the leading man. Even he had a TV series, I think, with Brandon Routh, if I remember correctly. So that's a fun tie. So yeah, I like this. I like both of them. I think I even like that I don't know Emily Beecham. I think that unknown aspect is cool.
Yeah, I think to me it would. You've already got Momoa that's going to make some noise. Like when the general audience sees Momoa, they're going to.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So you don't need some Marlon Brando-esque name to play the father. Right? Like you don't need, right?
No, but also I think like with these two, they're not Walmart greeters. David Krumholtz is very recognizable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I think she is too for some people because I saw some positive buzz for her too, so that's cool to me.
Yeah, and so I'm excited by it. Like I said, the fact that we're going to see other members of the L family because we don't know or we haven't heard specifics about whether Zor-El and Alura will appear in Superman. But I mentioned something to you off air, or however you want to refer to this, to recording. Let's say, and you mentioned that he had a prior acting performance with Brandon Routh. I would not be opposed to James Gunn surprising the world, not announcing Zor-El, but having Brandon Routh play Zor-El. I think that'd be pretty cool.
If they can get his wife Courtney Ford to play Laura,
ex-wife, unfortunately for Brandon Routh, but
I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, well maybe not. Never mind then.
Yeah, I don't know that, but maybe. Well, not Kate Bosworth. Let's not do that.
No, let's not.
Hold on, wait a minute. Who would be a good?
Melissa Benoist.
Well, sure. Let's go. Why not? That'd also be a little bit kind of weird because they were kind of sort of cousins on the CW. Even though
it's a new universe.
Hey, listen, if Penguin can fantasize upon his mother, why the heck can't we have this?
That's a whole can of worms.
Exactly, but no, I like this casting. It doesn't like I said, they don't need huge all-star names to play the parents for every one of these. Every time they do every time they bring members of the L family out, they don't need all-star caliber, Academy Award winners that take a sizable chunk of the budget to play the parents.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm good with this, and like I said,
one thing, David Krumholtz was actually in Caped Crusader. He played a character named Fletcher. I don't remember a character named Fletcher.
Oh, okay. Probably somebody connected to the Dent is my guess.
Maybe. I read that he's actually a huge comics fan.
I did get his quote was really, really cool. He said that how much of an honor it is.
Yeah.
And the sense that he had, I think he said drawers overflowing with comics as a kid.
That's what he said. Something like
that. To be part of this world is really special for him. And you know what? It's really cool. I just realized this. He has a young daughter. Imagine him taking his daughter to the premiere of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I think that's really sweet, and has some nice story potential there. So positive vibes and all that. So I like these castings all the way around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm on board. I'm just excited that the film is actually filming now. And again, the DC universe continues to progress, continues to roll on with very little, knock on wood, hope it continues, very little drama, which is a sharp contrast to what we all experienced before, where every other day there was some behind the scenes nonsense.
Some type of catastrophe waiting behind door number one.
It's such a refreshing change, man. Like, it really is.
It is, and I think it's only going to get better. The buzz for Superman's pretty positive right now. The trailer's hidden with people. That thing Tom King posted for Supergirl is doing really well. We even got it. I think that's the score we might be hearing in that post.
I thought that was from the Supergirl show.
Oh, is it?
They just used it as temporary. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure when I heard it. I haven't watched the Supergirl show.
Well, what would be my advice for that? I like the first season and a half, and then it don't feel.
I think I've only seen the crossover episode.
Melissa Benoist was great, regardless of anything.
Yeah, she seemed good from what I saw. But anyway, I think that it's just going to keep climbing and doing better, especially as the announcements keep rolling.
And think about this: Lantern starts filming in about a month or so. So
that starts filming. The Clayface casting will be coming very soon too, because that is going to be releasing next year. So
yeah,
we'll see who's playing Basil Carlo or whichever version they go with,
and possibly Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. We'll see.
I don't know. We have to see if that's okay with Reeves.
Yeah, we have to. I forgot he's the boss, and
you got to see.
We have to ask permission for everything. But the other words kept secret in the casting article for.
Oh yeah.
Zor-El and Alura. The other worst kept secret in Hollywood outside of Jason Momoa's Mobile was that Billy Alcock's Supergirl will appear shockingly to nobody in Superman. So we have that to look forward to. And look, just to go back to your point, the Lobo of it all, the Momoa of it all, I was already amped to see Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow based on my reading of the script. The
comic.
The comic. James Gunn did not send me the script. Although,
did he?
If he did, I would appreciate it. You know what? Send me the script for all the episodes of Lantern. Well,
send me the script for Clayface. That's what I want to see.
You know what? Scroll that. Just tell me who you want to cast as Batman.
Let's do that.
Let's cut the shenanigans. Just send me an email. Just drop the name.
Give me initials.
And we can all move on.
Give me, if it was his initial, it'd be BS.
Yeah, which then
that's kind of funny.
Upset. Let's put it with the upset, but I don't want to vindicate 5 people on the internet. But look, I'm excited. The DCU is rolling. We're at a place where things are going to start coming out. Projects are going to start, we're going to start seeing things. That's one of the cool parts about Creature Commandos is we're actually now in the DCU exists now. It's a tangible thing, and that's really cool. And it's only going to get better in the sense that more stuff is coming. And like I said, there are probably a ton of announcements that are about to be made that we're not privy to. Like, there are projects probably that we have no idea are coming.
Yep.
So, it's all good momentum going forward. And I think the next big thing we have to look forward to, in addition to launching filming, is some sort of Superman preview with the Puppy Bowl.
Yeah.
Which, given the reaction to Crypto from the first teaser, is pretty ingenious marketing.
I think it's smart not to mess with the Super Bowl itself, because at the Super Bowl, we are getting the Fantastic Four trailer most likely, and the Jurassic Scarlett Johansson movie.
And also too, remember the Flash had a Super Bowl trailer?
It did, and it got buzz, but then there was so many other things that got left in the dust.
But then what happened was, when people started searching the Flash, you know what else came up in the search? Ezra Miller and all that nonsense, and that probably didn't help things.
No.
So, I don't know. Do you want to spend $3 million when you had such a good reaction to the teaser?
That's the thing. I don't think they need it. Let them do this Puppy Bowl thing. It'll be what it is. I think it's probably going to be another shot of Crypto.
Yeah, probably.
People love that dog already. I think they're going to go all in with the dog.
Maybe Superman and Crypto flying. That'd be a cool thing.
I'd like to see that. That'd be neat. I think that'd be cool.
Together, let's play catch in the air.
That'd be really cool.
Why not?
Or let's see, like, if Crypto has other powers than flying, that might be neat.
Heat vision.
Yeah, I'd like to see it maybe as heat vision. That'd be cool.
Who knows? But it'll be something cute with Crypto. And listen, as long as Superman is a decent movie, Crypto plush dolls are going to be the hot seller next Christmas. So.
Oh, guaranteed. They're going to be at Build-A-Bears. You're going to have the ones just for sale. I'm sure they'll have like one that makes sound or something if you hug it.
My niece already wants one, so.
Okay, there you go.
Mission accomplished. So that's probably going to be at least $30 or $40 out of my pocket. But then, whatever. It's getting my niece at the Super Bowl. So I'll do it. But yeah, so all good things, more good things to come. Where excitement continues to build, and yeah, that's where we are. We're all caught up, and we look forward to more episodes, more revelations, and seeing more projects from James Gunn's DCU, and even the Reevesverse, whenever that decides to continue rolling around. But lots of good things coming. And until then, you can find Chris and I on social media. Chris, where do they track you down?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70. I do have a DC podcast I do with my buddies Phil Walsh and Auntie Crusoe over at DC Unlimited Pod. And the weekly show I do with my other buddy, Emmett Davis, at G of the Geeks.
That's all good things that you should be plugged into and checking out. If you want to find me, it's at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. We also have the Facebook group for the podcast network, which is listed in the description below. Click the link. I will add you, and we can continue the conversation there if you so choose. But until next time, remember that new DC universe is starting to take shape. From the first time, the most worst kept secret of Jason Momoa returning to DC is announced to the last. So long, everybody.